I always knew that my international experience made a profound difference in my life and felt the need to share my experiences with family, friends, coworkers, and students. After living and student teaching in Heidelberg, Germany, and traveling all over Europe for 4 months, my perspective on life has changed. I feel cultured, experienced, more open-minded, and not as sheltered. I never realized how much was out there in the world until I went to Europe, and I know there's so much more to see and experience in this world. After sitting down and talking with my friends that went to Germany with me or having been on other international trips, I asked them how they felt about their experiences and what it meant to them. They all seemed to answer the question along the same lines. So many people are sheltered in their tiny little town they grew up in and never get out to experience the real world. There are so many stereotypes and prejudices towards cultures, and if you don't experience the culture, you believe that whatever anyone tells you or what you see in the media, but they really have no idea who those people are, how they live, or what they're going through until you go there yourself. After talking with my friends, I started to wonder how our international experiences have impacted our students, and also how internationally experienced people act towards others. I've heard the phrase, one's personal glasses are colored by one's life experience, and I feel it fits perfectly with this presentation. I grew up in a large suburb of Detroit, in Troy. When I met people, I never saw them for their color or ethnicity and how it was different from my own. I saw them as them. I absolutely love learning about others' culture, religion, food, and customs, but I've always been open-minded and take anything in without being prejudiced. On the other hand, Traverse City, Michigan, where I've lived for the last 8 years, is not crowded with diversity. I absolutely love this town because of the beauty and the lakes, but if you were to take that out of this town, there honestly wouldn't be much keeping me here. This town is dull and homogeneous. It is a narrow-minded, opinionated culture, and I've seen and heard the majority of the born natives here never leave this town. And I've seen this happen with many other small-town people. They don't accept others' cultures and have no interest in learning about them. I want it to be clear that this particular presentation is the research behind the eyes of a Caucasian American woman who grew up in a Midwestern suburb and wanted to experience more. She went out to see and live in different parts of the world and returned with international cultural experiences to share with her friends, family, and students and hopefully make an impact on their lives. First, there is a variety of students attending school from numerous cultures in the United States. In a rural county in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, a Vietnamese student whose mother runs a hospital enters a new school system with a homogeneous student body. In an urban New York, Arizona, or even California school, the English-speaking 100% Caucasian American student may be the minority because of the diversity of cultures. Secondly, if students are sheltered and only know what their small town offers them, how will they understand global issues? How will they see the seriousness of world hunger? How can they be ready to learn about other cultures and the relations between races at different levels of society? How will they understand to act with respect and appreciation for the dignity of each individual person they come in contact with? There seems to be some unconnectedness between global issues and our students, especially through our curriculum. Yet teachers and students with international experience are great resources themselves to help make the connection. What do internationally experienced people have to offer anyway? How are they different from those who have no international experience? Yes, international experience can be expensive, involves many interesting stories of traveling, meeting new people, missing trains, trying unique cuisine, not being able to communicate with anyone you run into, or the ability to read the street signs. But what is the value of international experience and diverse perspectives in the classroom? Over the last week, I surveyed my students to see what they thought about my teaching and if they thought they had benefited from my personal experiences or if it was the same as all of their other teachers. As a class, we had some in-depth discussions regarding the impact my international experiences had on my students. They feel I offered more complex thinking and open-mindedness. The students express that I encouraged to link cultures in terms of real knowledge and experiences. They also stated that I'm self-confident in developing cross-cultural relations between people. We also had a rather large discussion about the sensitivity for the diversity of others. The students felt I willingly accepted all views and encouraged it in my classroom. I establish a sense of diverse community and a safe environment for all students to share their thoughts and ideas without feeling threatened or looked differently upon. The so-called mainstream students learned from my open-mindedness and started to analyze global issues and the curriculum in complex and sophisticated terms. After interviewing some of my students, they stated that I make things easier because I know more about what I'm talking about, and I make it fun by bringing in my personal experiences and pictures of my adventures. I talk like I've been there and have lived in these places. One student shared that there's a big difference between learning from someone who has been there and actually reading it from a book. You get more out of the lesson because you feel like you're there too. For an example, when reading Romeo and Juliet with my 9th grade language arts students, I can share my experiences of Italy and specifically of seeing the so-called balcony Juliet stood on and how the feeling of love had touched each person who walked in the town of Verona. Or when reading the story of Anne Frank, I can share my experiences of being in Anne Frank's house in Amsterdam and actually explain to them where she hid from the Nazis and then also tell them that her diary is on display. So, would you rather be taught about concentration camps by a teacher who reads out of the textbook or by a teacher who has personally been to Dachau and Auschwitz concentration camps, felt the emotions, saw the gas chambers and the bunkhouses, and personally talked to survivors of the camp? Or what would be the difference between a homogeneous classroom opposed to a classroom filled with diversity when talking about the Iraq War? I bet the majority of the students would have no idea that cities in Europe on a regular basis had protests and demonstrations in regard to the United States being in Iraq. My personal experiences of viewing these protests and demonstrations while in Paris, France, and Heidelberg, Germany, and actually living on an army base in Germany have influenced me greatly, especially realizing that it is not only making an impact on the United States and Iraq, but the entire world as a whole. Or a returning exchange student from China can start a discussion about the differences between Chinese and American schools. They can share what they have learned from us and what we can learn from them. This can bring up a variety of viewpoints beyond what is normally found in the American classroom and possibly assist in improving their school as a whole. Exchange students can present ideas to school improvement committees or the community and broaden their perspectives on education. American students with international experience have developed independence and self-confidence. These students can conduct and participate in activities such as international fairs, discussions, or speak to community groups. Having teachers with international experience allows teachers to teach with more accuracy, confidence, creativity, passion, and understanding. Now here's a list of ways to get more international experience into your classroom. Go travel, go experience it for yourself and go see it firsthand. Encourage students to study abroad or join the student exchange program. Encourage foreign exchange students to join your classroom. Exchange classes with another teacher for the day who might have experience or have seen the lesson firsthand. Have guest visitors come in for discussions or to give a presentation. Interact with pen pals from other countries through either Skype, webcam, email, or any other form of communication. Set up a forum or wiki for students to share their thoughts on a topic or to share their own personal experiences. Encourage students to blog about their international experiences. Have an open-minded classroom for students to share their thoughts, ideas, feelings, and experiences, and the list can go on and on and on.